What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of V is for Bill. Today is our first race day with the Jump-A-Con. So in the last episode, we did a quick little test drive. Not as much as I would have wanted, but we started to lose daylight. It's a day later, and we got this thing out here to the HooptieX event. There's a track right behind us. There's an extremely long line to get in here, so we only have the 5 gallons of fuel that we originally put in there. Hopefully we won't run out of fuel. So we're gonna unload the Jump-A-Con now. I'm gonna change a little bit of tuning stuff and get the car set up for racing, and we gotta see if we pass tech inspection. Before we get down to racing, I want to take a second to tell you about today's sponsor. I was sitting there and I was thinking, you know, if I'm going to drive a car that looks like it should be in Rocket League, we should have Rocket League sponsor the episode, right? And it is! I'm really surprised they even wanted to do this. This is pretty cool. It's quite an honor, actually. Today's episode is proudly sponsored by Epic Games. I'm here to tell you about Rocket League if you don't already know about it. Rocket League is free to play. It's available on the Epic Games Store, PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch, and Season 3 just launched, including a new Rocket Pass, competitive rewards, challenges, and tournaments. They got this awesome thing for this month called the Summer Road Trip. It kicks off July 1st, runs all month long, and Rocket League will be featuring LTMs and some classic cars hitting the game for the first time since free-to-play launched last year. And like I said, guys, the game is free to play. You can get it on the Epic Games Store in the link down below. It's a really fun game. It's a pretty basic, simple premise. It's good for all ages to jump in. I mean, I started playing it because my friends were playing it. I jumped in and had a great time with them. And that was years ago, and I've had a lot of fun playing it ever since. It's good, it's competitive, it's casual fun, and then you can pull off some crazy stunts too that just put it over the top. So guys, I urge you, it's free, you got nothing to lose. The link is in the top of the description below to the Epic Games Store, and you can download it for a lot of platforms like I mentioned before. Go check it out, links in the description. Huge thanks to Epic Games for sponsoring this episode. Next step, guys, we're just gonna get the Jump-A-Con in the game. That's when we know we've completely just won over the entire world. Fingers crossed. Thanks for sponsoring this episode, guys. It's a real honor. Let's get down to the racing. There are a lot of people here that are anxious to see us race this thing, which is very exciting. I'm really happy about that.
Only stand behind it though.
We ran into a problem. So that strap is maxed out.
Yeah. So last time I put it around both these, we didn't have a long enough strap.
All right, so we're maxed out. We got to push this thing off the ramps. All right, if we could get a hand pushing, yeah. It's a lightweight race car, no problem. It's made out of carbon fiber and then a lot of steel.
This isn't nerve-wracking at all. There it goes. Watch your legs. Whee!
That happened. All right, send her home, Oscar. This is how we first tested our ground clearance. All right, she's on the ground. All right, we got the car unloaded. We got to do a little bit of tuning. Holly, we sent some data logs back and forth. Jesus, if this door would work. Sent some data logs back and forth to Holly, and they found a setting that I had on there that was not optimal. So I'm gonna see if I can go ahead and make the change. And whew, it's hot today.
Start it up.
We're gonna start it in a second, and then hopefully it'll idle a little bit better. Next step is tech inspection. Luckily, they came out to help us, so we've been getting the VIP treatment out here. You guys said you took a look over it? Okay, let's go ahead and whenever you're ready. Okay, first part of tech inspection where we failed. The power cable comes off like, okay, so we're gonna need to tighten that down, and we need a little bit more of a cover. Everything else is good? All right, we'll get that fixed up. We made our changes to pass tech, and we are gonna head out to get our first lap in. I'm gonna do this one pretty moderate. It's 114 degrees outside, about 170 inside the car, so I have a wet rag around my neck. It's the best we got, and so yeah, we'll probably race, then cool down, then race, then cool down. That's probably the game plan. The vehicle seems to be totally okay with the heat. It's just the old noggin's not so much.
So listen,
Yeah.
you've already won the day. So as you're out here testing this thing, I mean, you don't have to fucking send it full send. You know that.
I'm gonna go over the jump slowly. I'll hit everything else.
But I told him if you want a second or third, if it's feeling right, just come up again and I'll get you.
So thank you. I'll take you up on that. But what we're gonna do is we'll do a lap, go back to the pits, cool down, talk about how it did, look at video,
Totally.
and then we'll come back around.
Roger that.
Alright guys, I'm going to be doing just the slightest bit of voiceover commentary to kind of let you know the thoughts that I had and the feelings I have from inside the cabin and what I'm noticing while I'm watching this footage, just so I can hopefully paint like the whole picture. First step is you gotta always bog a race car off the line. First time you get your race car, bog it off the line. You can see going into the straights here right away, I'm feathering on the throttle. You can hear throttle on, throttle off, throttle on, throttle off. There's so little traction out here, and we have so much tire pressure in the back that anytime I go full throttle, it's just a straight up burnout. So I gotta be gentle on the throttle or the back end goes out. I'm coming into the first jump here, and you can see that I'm going, throttling, getting it straight, and then letting off a little bit to just coast over this jump. The game plan for this first run is hit everything else as fast as I could, jumps go slow, we'll jump later. So this looks really slow, and when you shoot with a camera with a really long lens and you're very far back, it makes vehicles just look pretty slow. Once the vehicle gets a little closer to the cameraman, you can actually start to see the real speed of the vehicle, or when you're looking at the in-cabin footage, you can see the speed. But yeah, it looks slow, and this wasn't the really fast run. Remember, this is our first time getting on a track. We wanted to feel it out. On the straights, I'm feeling great. It's honestly not that rough of a course or anything like that, so it's just like driving down a straight dirt road. Lots of control, everything's feeling great. Problem is when I lead into these sharp corners, we don't have the sharpest turning radius, but also with the silt being such a loose surface, the front of the vehicle is pushing off of the course. I did not want to get stuck or get beached out there because this isn't a four-wheel drive vehicle. So I just used what I've learned in drifting, clutch kicked it through the corners, and would basically do a burnout to get myself back onto track and dig through all of that silt. And then I'd be back on track and driving again. I tried different methods of staying on the track by either going slower into the corners or clutch kicking and drifting through the corners, just steering with the back end, which honestly worked a little bit better. But on my first time driving a car, it was a little bit unwieldy to control. This definitely was the slow part of my time. At one point I even got so bad I went off track to the left and then finally gripped up, and then I flew off track to the right and I hit a tree. They didn't need that tree anyways, they had extras. Needless to say, we had some grip issues in the front. And here we made it through the finish with a time of 4:54. That's about 10 seconds faster than we were able to do it in the Mini, so it's performing better than, say, a stock vehicle, which is good. Our temps were around 220, which is just a little on the warm side for an LS engine, so that's okay. And I think I inhaled about a pound of dirt. That wasn't good.
That looks like fun.
That was dusty. We need to make a lot of changes to this thing. It's not that this vehicle is bad, it's just not configured right now for it. That track is normally basically the width for normal cars, so we're riding on the very outside of the lane, lots and lots of silt, and we don't have a lot of weight in the front end of this car because I really wanted to be able to pop wheelies. Problem with not having a lot of weight in the front end is that as I'm accelerating, it pulls even more weight off. Then as I enter a corner, I don't have any grip, so my wheels are totally locked and I'm understeering right off of the corner. These are things that we can fix, and they're things that I'm really glad we just learned about. What we didn't get to do is get enough air in any spot to where we can test our landing. I mean, it was really smooth when the back went up and down, but I need to be able to test my landing and you know, potential damage to the transaxle, a bunch of other stuff. Look at how dirty we got in one run.
That's like sweet.
This is now the dirtiest Lamborghini in the world, by far. I mean, it's awesome. We made a lot of changes to hopefully fix the problem. Now, we just took out the Mini, and I will say that we ran 10 seconds faster than the Mini in this thing on the first time out. So we didn't build a slow car, at least. The Mini's pretty well sorted and did well, but the other thing I want to say is the front end pushing out, like where we're pushing out around corners, that's happening in every vehicle, so it's not just us. It is a problem. So what we did was we actually had our springs set up, our shocks set up backwards. They were soft in the back and hard in the front, which is going to cause us to understeer off. So we got them soft in the front now, hard in the back. That's going to help. And we also dropped the tire pressure down. We had way too much tire pressure. So with those changes, I better drop at least 10, if not 15 seconds. I'm just gonna try really hard to keep it on the track this time. Oscar's gonna ride with me.
For moral support?
Moral support, let's roll, man.
Wow, the back actually came off?
Yeah, the front didn't come off, the back did.
Yeah, it may send us for an endo. But
We're not going that fast.
yeah, it won't get high enough to do anything. But I'm just saying we might come off that jump and then like hit like really.
Dude, that fuel pump is starving. Fuel? We run out of fuel?
How'd you run, guys?
Terrible! Hey, do you guys have any gas here?
Need premium?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got some premium. I'll bring it over.
Yeah, thank you. We're running super low.
That girl's gonna run out of battery. We're gonna hit it.
Oh, gas down.
Yeah, we're fucked up hard.
Ready?
3, 2, 1, go!
We got stuck.
Did you see I was getting sideways up to that jump? I was like, yeah.
A lot of power.
Yeah. Is that wheel like way?
That tire ain't turning and it's moving forward back.
All right, we broke something.
The bolt broke out.
Oh yeah, that's where the shock goes in?
Yeah.
That's sheared off.
Okay.
Well, guys, we sent it harder off the jump. We broke the Jumpicon, but most importantly, we learned stuff. We learned why it broke, and we know how to fix it. It's just a simple miscalibration, really. So if you look right down here, this is our trailing arm that holds our shock, and there's the bolt that connects it to the lower control arm, and it's sheared off. So you can see where it's sheared off there. It's supposed to be connected to there, and it sheared off. So there's a few theories as to why this thing broke. It shouldn't have broken. It wasn't just the force of the jump. It was something else going on, and we could test all the different theories when we get back to the shop. So we're gonna load it on the trailer, get it home, get back to the shop, and we'll show you guys the test and the diagnostics that we're gonna do to figure out exactly why this happened so it won't happen again. Because just adding more metal and stronger bolts and stuff is not the solution. That shouldn't have broke right there. I think it's a bump stock configuration that we did something wrong. So got it all cleaned up and back in the shop. This is a really cool build because we can just spray it down with the garden hose and it all clears out. We had a bunch of drainage holes in the floor pan, and we can just pop those caps back in there. So it's pretty cool. Very fast cleanup. Now we're gonna go ahead and diagnose the problem in the back end here, why it broke, how it broke, and how we're gonna fix it so it don't break again. Spent the better part of a day trying to diagnose this, and it's quite the mystery. So a bolt goes into here, goes through this guy, and it goes into here, and that's how these things are held together. And there's some misalignments and stuff like that. There's a nut in there. It wasn't very well welded, which means that I welded it. My bad. The bolt went in about halfway, and it broke the nut right at that halfway point, so we needed a bolt that went longer. So that failed in not a super surprising way, and I could see how that would fail without anything too crazy happening through here. The weird thing is the other side, we took that apart too, and the bolt actually bent in that side. And that bolt has a 25,000 pound shear force. So bending force, 25,000 pounds. So that's where we start to be like, that amount of force shouldn't be exerted on this arm and this thing. And so I tried to figure this out and figure out what it was. I talked to Sam, who designed this thing. He's got one school of thought. I talked to Engineering Explained, Jason Fensky. He's got some ideas as well, and I talked to the guy that owns Locked Off-Road, the shock company, and see what he thought. And a lot of different thoughts floating around, but they all kind of circle back to the same thing. We need to fix it, and then we need to test our fix and watch our suspension as it actuates. So in the next episode, we are gonna develop a fix to make this a much, much stronger piece, and then we're gonna lift up the back of the car as high as we did off of that jump, and then we're gonna drop it, film it all with slow motion cameras, and make sure everything is working the way it should before we head off to our race in Vegas at the Mint 400 track in 6 days. We still have to do other stuff too to get this thing ready. So we are racing the Mint 400 track in Las Vegas in 6 days. Very, very amped on that, very hyped. I'll put a link to the Mint in the description. Thank you guys all so much for watching. What a fun episode and a fun time this was, getting to race this thing for my first time. Didn't go as fast as I wanted to. We were going faster the second time and then stuff exploded. So fix it, race it again, repeat. See you guys on the next one. Peace!